with Caucasian people and like their inability to like read a fucking room. Like,
Okay. We're Western kind. I don't like this Caucasian. We can't. So she's claiming we can't read a room. So let's see. Let's see what she's gonna say.
y'all act like you don't understand shit because y'all be the first ones during a conversation about the Holocaust to get so mad when Black people be like, you do realize that the original Jewish people were Black, right? White.
All right. So here you can see here the power of victimhood status in the anti-white narrative. Now, it's only applied to non-white people and to what they refer to as victim groups, which are really privileged groups because you get all these benefits and privileges and freedom from responsibility when you're a member of one. And you can see the power of it there, but there's a misunderstanding there for her. Not surprised she doesn't understand it because she's anti-white. But she has a misunderstanding there about what is and how is and why is there such a thing as victim groups. Victim groups don't exist in and of themselves. They're not a force of nature or physics. They are a consequence of the desire to victimize Western kind. And the only reason they work is because Western kind, white guilted, will allow it to work. There's a big debate here that we disagree with people. It's mostly white guys who object to identifying our victimization because they're too dumb. Let's just face it. So many white guys are dumb. They're too dumb to understand that there's a difference between your people and yourself being actually victimized and a victim group and victimhood status. They're just too dumb. These white guys, if they were smart enough, if they weren't genetic misfits, they would know that they need to stop thinking and they allow the white guys who do better at thinking than themselves to be in charge. But we'll continue to hear from these guys. It's a cowardly thing, by the way, men and women in the white race, to deny that we are victimized, because even if you can somehow miraculously defend yourself against anti-whiteism, which you can't, and you haven't, even if you can, we have elderly, we have children, we have singles, people who cannot protect themselves. And to claim that there is no victimization of our race is to ignore their victimization, is to ignore their suffering. And that makes you a coward and pathetic. And you need to find the door.
People do not need to explain to anybody about us all bleeding red because, baby, you all are the people that need to learn that lesson. Clearly.
Okay, so, but to my point, though, she's talking about witnessing white people, rubbing their hands, tearing at their garments with white guilt about the Holocaust. And she is angered by the fact that their white people are white guilted and lamenting the harm inflicted on Jews, because in Western civilization, in the anti-white narrative, that victim status is a great power. And she's thinking to herself, no, me, and I assume she identifies as Black, and the Black race are the primary victims, so we should have the most power. And going so far as to try to claim the identity of Jewish people in order to achieve that. So these are the kind of things that are going on in these conversations that are deeper than everybody can get what's at the surface. I'm helping you go a little bit deeper.
History shows that you all are the people that like to pillage and eradicate, enslave and oppress.
Okay, so don't combat that when you come up against an anti-white. That, as you can see, that is purely from fiction. In fiction, it's true. Non-white people don't pillage and rape, do they? In fiction? No, that's very rare. Almost never happens in fiction. For her, fiction, and for us, is real. That's the real world. So breaking out history books, waste of your time.
attempt to suppress greatness because you all simply don't have it.
Right? Here go y'all cum goblins who don't even live in the fucking city.
Oh my God.
By the way,
that is nasty. Nasty, nasty, nasty. What she just called us. I heard that.
the Q-tip people are the last ones to ever talk about somebody stealing anything. Y'all wouldn't be in this country had it not been for y'all stealing it.
Okay. We've talked about that many times. It's just like South Africa, just like Australia, New Zealand. There were no such places. We made Western civilization and then allowed non-white people to participate. And then you have this sort of ignoramus claim of, oh, you stole all of this from us. In America, as in the rest of the places, there were non-white tribes that were competed with each other militaristically and in other ways for greater and greater share and control of the land that they trod. And in these cases that I mentioned, Canada as well, white people showed up and they entered the fray of competition. They won. And then they created what is inside of us, Western civilization. And then, unlike the rest of history, an actual reading of history with what's done with conquered peoples, magnanimous white people decided to name everything after the non-white people. Long before even there was anti-whiteism, they're like, oh yeah, let's just keep all the American Indian names that were already here. Let's just, okay, well, that wasn't done by other groups throughout history, but if you want to do that, I'm fine. And I'm fine. I mean, they did it. So like Shenandoah River that's here in Virginia, that's American Indian. There's American Indian names everywhere. That we should be thanked for that. But of course, we're not going to be. Why? Because it's not in the fiction. So you stole the country.
But y'all are more focused on people looting and trying to get necessities and things that they need. And yes, a TV is a fucking necessity. Thank you. You feel
A TV
like
is a necessity.
people are out here stealing.
And it was, how long ago was it that even the kings and the wealthiest on planet Earth didn't have TVs? TV is a necessity. I'm gonna watch. What are they watching these days? What do they watch? It's the TVs and the weave shops. Necessity.
You would never. First of all, if you are a male monster, that is how your ancestors got everything from stealing.
And that's a behavior that's very common among white women.
Oh.
You may have not intended that, but there are many white women who act exactly like.
Is she getting ready to puke? What's wrong with this girl?
Thank you.
If you can find it in your heart this holiday season to donate to the Discriminated White Fund,
there was another
you'd
one.
Be helping millions.
Nothing says high protein like cicadas and cheese.
Well, he's really making the point, Charlie.
Yeah, nothing says caucasity like that right there.
What
caucasity looks like?
Caucasity.
Roll in Asian grocery stores like it's an amusement park.
Explain to me why white people don't wear shoes outdoor, but wear.
Yeah, that's disgusting. That is totally disgusting. She should be bent over a knee and have the shit slapped out of her ass. Put your shoes on. Filthy.
Shoes inside.
Why are white people
White
like
women.
I didn't even see that.
We are inherently a danger in spaces where Black, Indigenous, and other people.
Oh my God.
Simply by existing.
Oh, simply by existing. What is then the remedy for that anti-white white pig? What is the remedy then? We're a danger to non-white people simply by existing. Again, is this somebody who is some freak on the fringe? Or is that indeed the opinion that we see, the thrust of rule of law, of bill, etc., across the West? It is indeed.
It's white cis men who are a part of the far right wing.
Did this girl just come down from Mars? Look at this guy. This is what you wake up to in like a horrible nightmare. This guy's leaning over you, and he's like from planet Nubia, and he wants to probe you. For Christ's sake.
Ideology of fascism. That is a true threat and the terrorism to this country.
Well, and there you go. He's pointing out the villain in the anti-white narrative, and you have all these white people playing the villain so that this guy has something to actually point to in the real world.
BIPOC stand in the street and scream at the top of their lungs, I hate all white people. I want all white people to go die. Die, white devil, you cracker bitch. That's still not racism.
Oh my God, how disgusting. How absolutely. Who's willing to pay for her ticket to say Nicaragua or Nigeria? No return ticket. No return. See, as white people, we got no problem. They act like all the time in the anti-white narrative that we want to coddle white criminals or actors who otherwise harm our people. No. In fact, we have a very, very different tendency.
You're not one of the good white people. Stop separating us from the bad white people. Don't sit out there in comments and say, we don't claim them. We are that.
Look, she's about to break down crying. I want to see this again. You're not one of the good white people.
Good white people. Stop separating us from the bad white people.
Stop separating us from the bad white. We're all bad.
Don't sit out there in comments and say, we don't claim them. We are that. We are the ones shooting up schools.
Oh.
We are the ones raping people, the ones enslaving people.
And I'll say it. I hate being white.
Oh boy. What? That's sad. That's anti-whiteism for you. And if that were being done to any other group of people, it would be discussed on a global scale. At what level of evil is at operation that convinces a race of people to hate themselves for what they are intrinsically. This is another reason why you never trivialize race as skin color. This is something he cannot escape. It is what he is every waking, sleeping moment. And the only way he is going to be able to feel good about himself is to wage war on himself in various ways, but much more realistically and evidently on every white person around him, on every projection of the white race. This is the kind of guy right here that is going to have a balaclava on and is going to club you in the back of the head with a wrench if you have a MAGA hat on. How did that end up happening? It's anti-whiteism. You have to remedy anti-whiteism.
Yeah, which means I'm one of the good ones.
All white people are inherently racist.
Yeah.
Can you be racist against white people?
Based off of the definition of racism, yes, but it's not going to hurt them and hurt their opportunities.
Okay, so we've had this big conversation in the white sympathetic sphere, how many hundreds of times, when I'm like, where does the definition for racist exist? And then everybody says, well, the dictionary, no, in the heads of the people on the street. And this is not in some private, don't take some like good MAGA person and take them private somewhere and ask them. No, ask them in a room full of people that are going to be able to throw scorn on them if they say something other than what is required socially of the definition. And they will give you the definition that only white people are capable of this evil. This is the reason, this is the concept that destroyed Western civilization. They're not going to allow it to apply to other groups of people. And so you can't change it. White people have been trying for a long time, pointing at the dictionary. Look at my dictionary. Look at what it says here. Shut up. Shut up. It doesn't matter. Written into laws and codes, universities, international treaties, federal laws. Just shut up. Stop using racist. Stop using the concept racism.
It does people of color.
While technically you can, it's not like an issue.
You can't oppress the oppressor.
That was anthropomorphizing us again.
To white people. It's impossible. The system is not set up that way. You can insult white people, but it is not racism. Me calling a white person a tub of mayonnaise and like a flower looking ass, that's not racism.
You went all the way to Africa to physically take Black people from their homes, shove them in on boats where a lot of them got diseases and died.
Do not do what the fixators do and start talking about, well, let me tell you about who owned the slave ships or whatever. Dumb. This is anti-white narrative. What you believe in your historical revisionist head is totally irrelevant. And it has always been totally irrelevant, and it hasn't done us any good whatsoever. So learn from that. Learn from that, you slow-minded folks. Learn from it.
Told them where they could sit on a bus. Told them which schools they could go to, which water fountains they could use, which bathrooms.
Okay, so we gave them fountains to use. We gave them schools to use. We gave them bathrooms to use. And now you see how it's turned around by anti-whites. This is the way it always will be. This is why you have to get out of the anti-white narrative.
They could use, and that's sugarcoating it. Those are just terms. I'm not even describing all the disgusting things that happen. And they don't even want revenge. They are letting you guys skate by, asking for equal rights. That's it. And you're still saying no?
Mm-hmm. Again, you can see this is the argument for what were the speeches given by Joe Biden and Kamala when her mouth wasn't occupied by a cylindrical object. It was, we need equity. So this you might be able to dismiss and say, oh, well, she's just some fringe-dwelling psycho in her bathroom. Nobody else holds that opinion. Oh, except for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, right? Except for them. And they're saying, oh, you have to discriminate against the white race.